And you're welcome back to the Pulse. Let's talk about the Joy News Impact Makers Award, because this is a social project aimed at recognizing people, celebrating ordinary people doing extraordinary things in their society just to change lives and to improve their communities in which they find themselves. Your credible news source, Joy News, is of course bringing that project to you to celebrate people in your community who are changing lives in all spheres: education, technology, you name them. Of course, if you have anybody in mind, have you nominated them already? And why, of course, are we doing and carrying out this project of the Joy News Impact Makers Award? Guess what? I'm being joined now by Max Fuga, General Manager, Customer Care and Sales here at Multimedia. And of course, MFI Leah Tiamwa is the project lead. They are all draped in that Impact Makers, and it's so colorful. It tells you what's coming up. Max, why now? And what's this whole idea about the Impact Makers Award?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think, like you rightly said in your intro, it's about ordinary people doing ordinary things, making impact in the communities where they find themselves. So the award is about people making impacts. I mean, and we say impact makers are people who, despite the circumstances and the situation around them, they still go out of their way to help people, to help others, to improve life, to improve living condition of others, regardless of the circumstances or the economic situation around them. And there are a lot of people out there who are doing this things, who are not being recognized. And so we have taken upon ourselves that, look, we are a media organization. Every day, our network carries stories of these people who are making these small changes in the communities they found themselves in. And so we said, look, why don't you bring these people forward and then celebrate them, recognize them and celebrate them. So that's why we are into this, and that's what the award is about, recognizing those ordinary people making those small changes that are impacting positively in the lives of people.
And Max, I'm glad that you're talking about stories, because if I recall, Samuel Kojo Brace, my colleague, doing the story about a young man in the Western region who was using the Shamfan machine, which ordinarily would have been used for illegal mining, and he's generating power with that.
Exactly. It's interesting. And as Max said, the idea is to motivate these people. Yes, this gentleman is able to do this much.
Right.
You can imagine how much more he'll be able to do if you and I give him that recognition and support.
Right.
If we introduce him to the right people, the right network of people who will be able to invest in what he's doing so that he can impact a greater number of people. So that's the whole idea. In 2016, I told a story of a young gentleman in Mamobi here, and this is the heart of Accra. He runs a small school, and what he does is that he doesn't collect school fees from their children.
Wow.
Because looking at the living conditions of the people, parents there, you can't look in their face and tell them they should pay school fees. But that notwithstanding, these children have the right, the basic right to education, so they must be in school. Realizing that need, what this guy does is that every morning he wakes up and goes from house to house, to check on these children, pick them, take them to his facility and teach them, and then take them back. How many people will be able to do that? I'm telling you that, but for this guy, these children wouldn't have had a taste of education. They don't know what it means to go to school or to be taught something in the classroom, on the blackboard, or write something. So it's interesting for such people. You just want to give them the space. You want to tell those in the education sector that these are the people who have the hearts, who are ready to do the job. So what you need is that invest in them, partner them, give them the platform so that they can do more.
And Max, when we say this is open to all spheres, is it really for everyone?
Yes, it's for everyone. There's no age limit. Okay, it's for everyone. I'm sure there's a young man's story we are talking about. The man in the West, the guy in the West. I don't know how old he is.
Yes.
Could be 16, 17, 18. Yeah. So it is open. I mean, it's not about age, it's not about education, it's not about status society. Just those ordinary people making the impact, irrespective of your age. Because I always say, leadership is not about influence. Okay, it's about impacts. Leadership is not about age, it's about influence and impact. And so, no matter your age, once you are making that impact in that community, people are being inspired, you are qualified to be part of this award scheme.
So what will be the format? And how many people will be celebrated?
Okay, maybe MFR wants to talk.
Quickly.
Yes, so at the moment we have advertised an email asking the people or the public to submit entries. When you do that, you get an automatic reply, and then it gives you a form to fill in the details of the individual you are nominating. That form will come back to us. The email is impact.makersawards.
Okay, let's take that slowly.
Impact.makersawards.
Awards is impact,
right.
IMPACT, impact.makersaward, makers, MAKE.
Oh, we have that on the screen.
Exactly.
Right.
So
yes, okay.
impact.makersawards at myjoyonline.com.
Impact.makersawards
at myjoyonline.com. So we are encouraging you to send in your entries as soon as possible. There's a team which is going through the entries that we are receiving, and then we will select the finalists who will then.
Do we know the number of people we're celebrating?
Yes.
We want to keep that as a surprise.
Oh, no. It's not a surprise. It's not a surprise. I think that,
I just want to.
as she rightly said, we have about 200 entries, but we are getting more.
Okay.
So by the end of the day, we'll celebrate 10.
Okay.
And out of the 10, there will be an overall winner. So it's a very simple thing. 10, and then there will be an overall
Tough
winner.
competition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. But you see, you can nominate, I mean, those who are making those changes, those making the impact in the communities, they can nominate themselves, or people, the members of the community can nominate them to be part of this thing. So it's not a chance of being part of the 10 to be celebrated, or the overall winner, JoyNews Impact Maker of the Year.
Right.
And I also want to say that this is the maiden edition.
Okay.
So we look forward to doing
Expanding,
this every other year. And we hope that each year is going to be bigger and better. And so you shouldn't shy away at all from putting in your entries now. Yes, your candidate might not be selected as a winner for this year. That does not mean
But
that
even
the
a
person
nomination
is not
alone,
making.
yeah,
Yes,
it's
that does not mean that your nominee is not making an impact. No.
Right.
But this is just something to let you know that we appreciate whatever contribution you are doing in your little corner to make Ghana a better place.
And we actually even acknowledge all those who have been nominated.
Okay.
For people to know, okay, this person was nominated for this year's award. We don't
Okay, so the names will even be out there. At least we'll know their profile and what they have to offer.
Exactly.
But what's at stake in terms of the prize, the package for the 10 that will be celebrated? I feel like being on that list already.
Look, the approach this time is to make sure that, look, whatever the person is doing, the award should go to help the person to improve on whatever he or she is doing in the community. Okay. And so we wait until we get the nominees, and then we can announce the appropriate package that will help the person to improve on what he or she is doing. So I cannot announce it here until I have a fair idea of the 10.
We need to know what you are into.
Exactly. So if you're in Agric, we'll give you something that will help you in your space. If you're into medicine, we'll help your health. We'll give you a prize that will help you deliver better. So that's what we're going to do, because we want the prizes to be relevant to what the people are doing on the ground.
And in fact, this is the first time I'm hearing it. Tailor-made packages.
Exactly.
It's better. It's far better.
Exactly.
It's far better.
And as much as possible, we do not just want to recognize or celebrate you, then that's it for you. You stop what you're doing. We want you to continue. Right. And the only way we can get you to continue is to support you with the resource, the logistics, the materials you need to be able to do that. So that's why we are looking at a tailor-made packages so that you can sustain whatever impact you're making.
Obviously, they'll be celebrated. When is the party, and how can we be part of that? That jubilation. We need to celebrate with them and enjoy.
Alex, I can give you a cue.
Okay.
It will be in May.
Okay.
I know May is big for us in multimedia.
Right.
So I think this is just enough for today.
Okay, so for those out there who, of course, want more information, perhaps partnerships, right? Because there are some institutions that may be willing to partner you. Are you open to that idea?
Absolutely. I think Max.
Oh yeah, we are open. We are open for partnership. We are open for support. We are open for sponsorship. So we are open.
Yeah.
We are open.
Corporate Ghana, everyone is invited, regardless the sector you are working in, be it education, be it technology, any area at all, agric, as long as you think that there are certainly people working in that area who are impacting life, who are making great changes in people's lives. And so you would want to support them. So in whatever way, and also you get opportunities to be also to be able to promote yourself and what you do. Yeah, so everyone is invited.
Okay, how much more time do we have in terms of putting out the nominations? I mean, sending the mail. It's on the screens right now.
Impact.makersawards at myjoyonline.
Right. How much time do we have?
We are closing entries by next week.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
By end of next week.
The end of next week, we are closing our entries, by which time the selection team, which is already in the process, because the entries are coming in drones every day. I'm sure that would have been done, and they will hand it over to the judges to decide the finalists for the award scheme.
Okay.
Then the party starts.
And Max, if you have a message for those who may be having doubts, well, will my, of course, nominee be accepted or not? What message do you have for such a person out there? I mean, someone's making change. I'm positive about the person, but well, this is a big platform. I don't know if you'll be selected. What message will you have?
Everybody stands an equal chance of selection. So we are fair. I mean, if you know the profile of the judges, it's going to be a very fair and transparent process. So once you are nominated and you go through and you are selected, we'll celebrate you. If you are not lucky to be part of the finalists, the final 10, we will still celebrate you. We'll acknowledge you, and we'll tell your story to the people out there, for people to know that you are making an impact in that small community you find yourself in, irrespective of the challenges that you may be facing yourself. So, I mean, it's a fair, transparent process. I'll be very, very transparent about it. Indeed. We'll communicate and we'll celebrate whoever is nominated, whether the person is part of the final 10 or not.
And we'll be happy to celebrate them. MFA, your message to them?
Yes, so I know people will be asking, what should I expect on the day of the event?
Yes.
So yeah, you're going to know more about the finalists. If you're the 10, what do they do? Where are they? How many people have they impacted? We will tell you about that. And then you get to know exactly what they'll be going away with in terms of the packages. You'll be meeting their family members. You'll be meeting corporate Ghana. And then you also have the chance of meeting key personalities here from the multimedia group who will be encouraging you to be celebrating along with you as well. It's going to be a packed night, and we entreat all who are really to be part of this award scheme, because it's going to be fun.
And indeed, it's going to be fun. You need to send out your nominations fast, because these people would never wait for you. They'll go ahead and celebrate the ones they have. But I'm grateful, Max and MFA, for joining us here on The Pulse. We'll see them again when the list is out. But let's focus on our next conversation, because the Alliance for Women in Media is partnering with the Canadian High Commission to deal with matters relating to equity for women in the media space. Joining us via phone now is Shamima Muslim, a leading figure of that movement. Thanks, Shamima, for your time here on The Pulse. So why equity for women in the media?
Blessing, and good evening to your viewers as well. You would recall that 8th of March every year is dedicated to celebrating women. So it's International Women's Day, the 8th of March. But the entire month of March is Women's Month globally. And it's really a month to highlight the issues that women face in various fields of endeavor, formal, informal, workplace, domestic violence, all the gamut of issues that women really face in the society, and also representation in leadership positions across board. So every year, ALMA also commemorates the International Women's Day with a stakeholders engagement forum. This year, the global theme is Embrace Equity, and the UN theme is Digital Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality. So why equity? Because we still haven't reached anywhere close to parity between men and women in terms of representation, in terms of work, in terms of workplace safety issues. So all of the various things that mitigate against the growth and advancement of women are equity issues. And we're saying that we must all embrace equity, because the evidence shows that when all of your staff, when both men and women are working to full capacity and reaching their fullest potential, then our collective value would increase, okay? But if the system is rigged against its females in the society to the extent that they are always unable to put up their best because of all the other things that hold them back, institutionally, systemically, culturally, politically, then the country loses. So that is why we are talking equity, and that's why we are talking specifically equity for women in media.
Where really is the disparity? What's the focus for you? Is it much more about allowing that the platforms are inclusive of women across the country, which we rarely do? I must make that confession. And it's not as though it's deliberate. It's much more about the system in which we find ourselves. Or is it more about the practitioners? Where's your focus this year?
So our focus this year is on media owners and media managers, because obviously to whom much is given, much is expected. I always try to use the family setup to illustrate the importance of imbibing equity principles. If you take a typical family, for example, there's a mother, there's a father, there are children, there may be old people, there may be sickly children, there may be children with special needs and disabilities. There may be aging parents who are suffering from dementia. So if you take the family unit, because every member of the family is different, you would have to necessarily treat each member of the family the way that, in the way that they are different, and you must meet each person's needs equitably for the family unit to remain peaceful and cohesive and a happy one. So you can't say that, everybody is eating pepper in this family, so even people who are suffering from ulcer have to eat, pepper. My mother-in-law was living with us for a long time. She doesn't eat pepper. So when we cook our food, we have to cook her food without pepper. That is equity. That is recognizing people's peculiar challenges and needs and meeting those needs at their point and meeting them at the point of their needs. So you asked about why we are focusing on media managers and media owners. A couple of years ago, ALMA released the first baseline status of women in Ghanaian media report. We tried to look at a number of things just to understand who are the women in the media, what are their profiles, what do they do, what are their challenges. When we looked at the leadership level, we had only 1% of women in top management, positions. Take multimedia, for example. You have a lot of wonderful women, and multimedia is one of the most progressive media houses, I must add, because I see the effort and the opportunities they give to both men and women. But even that, at your leadership level, if you go onto your website right now, your top executive leadership is all male. Emma Morrison used to be the only female on, and since she left, there's been no replacement. So your top executive is all female. If you look at other media houses and organizations, including the leading organizations, there's disparity at the top level. But when you tune on your television and somebody tells you that there is disparity in Ghana's media between men and women, you won't believe it. Because the face of Ghana's media landscape is feminine. The news, the entertainment, and a lot of the programs you would now find females. Even traditionally hardcore politics that you usually would not have found women, even as, early as like 10 years ago when I was in the media, you could count the number of us who were doing hardcore political programs. Now, morning shows have female voices. It didn't used to be the case for so long. Evening current affairs has female voices. It didn't used to be the case. So we have made some gains, but as you grow along the media industry, you see that it begins to taper in favor of only the men, all because of the other challenges. I had to take time off media because I could no longer combine the time schedule with my growing family of 4 toddlers. It was almost impossible for me to balance, work and family commitments. And these are important commitments. The reproductive role of women is very important to ensure future security of the labor force. And it's not a choice that many women have. In fact, if you reach a certain stage in the media and you don't marry, you don't have children, it becomes an insult on you. And people would use it to abuse you because they think you're not a full woman. So these are some of the practical things. If you look at the pay disparity, there are women who are earning less than men for doing similar, if not the same kind of work. If you look at educational opportunities for women, there is disparity because sometimes women are unwilling to leave their families and, seek advanced education. Also, sometimes their managers are unwilling to release them to participate in capacity building programs when indeed they are the same people who say that women don't have skills. Some colleagues of mine have been in media organizations for over a decade, and they are still at the same level, and yet they have won several awards, for journalism work. And yet the organization doesn't see them to have the leadership potential. So if you think that your women do not have leadership potential, what should you do as a progressive leader? You must identify those who have competency. If they have competency without corresponding leadership skills, you must teach it because leadership can be taught. And people have learned to be good leaders and they have been able to deliver. Women naturally are leaders. They are able to multitask. They are able to do a lot of things. So if you build their confidence and you put them on a certain fast track, management trainee program, and you encourage them, because sometimes we don't even trust that we can do the job, and that's part of the inequities in the system. The system is socialized us so much that we are not confident even when we are capable. So it's up to the leader, it's up to the owner to say that in my media organization there is imbalance. So what should I do to bridge the gap? What should I do to bridge the imbalance? What can I do to support both men and women to all grow and thrive? And that's a very long response to your simple question.
Anyway, it tells us what we're expecting tomorrow, equity for women in the media space. Shamima Muslim will be on that panel together with Professor, of course, we have the likes of Elizabeth Ohene and others that will be speaking tomorrow. We'll be on the lookout for that. Thanks, Shamima, for joining us. But let's focus on ADR now, because a justice of the Court of Appeal, Her Ladyship Justice Angelina Mensah Homia, is asking aggrieved persons to make use of alternative dispute resolution as a means of getting justice. In her view, it will help deal with the long delays in the justice delivery system. There's more in this report for you.
The ADR Week aims to create a platform for the ADR Directorate of the Judicial Service to engage with the public. Through this event, the Directorate seeks to inform citizens about the existence of ADR within the court system, its relevance in seeking justice, and how individuals can utilize this option to their advantage. Speaking at this legal year terms ADR Week, Justice of the Court of Appeal, Her Ladyship Justice Angela Mensah Homia, in her address, indicated that alternative dispute resolution offers several advantages over the litigation system in the resolution of disputes.
Generally, ADR, and in particular the court-connected ADR, offers several advantages over litigation or the adversarial system of resolving disputes. The first is that it allows parties to have more control over the outcome of their disputes. The parties are involved in every aspect of the process. ADR allows parties to work together to come out with solutions that meet their individual needs and interests, especially where relationships need to be preserved. Comparatively, the traditional court procedures are often slow and rigid, and some cases may take years to resolve. On the other hand, court-connected ADR offers a much quicker resolution to disputes, and thereby reducing the time and resources required to resolve legal issues.
She also added that limited awareness and education about ADR have become a major challenge in resorting to this approach.
Many court users are either not aware of the benefits of ADR or do not understand how it works. Yes, they have heard of the court-connected ADR. You will see the offices with the bold inscription, court-connected ADR and what have you, but they don't really appreciate how it works and the benefits. And it takes effort to educate the court users and the citizenry as a whole on the benefits as I've already enumerated. I do not think creating awareness during the celebration of the ADR week alone is sufficient, and we need to move a step further. Another major challenge is the remuneration of the mediators. This is a challenge which the Judicial Service is working around the clock to resolve.
Director of ADR, Alex Nati, urged individuals who have disputes suitable for alternative dispute resolution to take advantage of this opportunity.
We urge every court user, anybody who has a case in court which is amenable to ADR, should actually not let this week pass without trying to test the efficacy of ADR. It works, and it saves time, it saves cost, and so it is in the interest of anybody who is seeking a resolution to his dispute to try it.
During the last ADR week held in November 2022, 211 cases were referred and 88 settled, representing 42% settlement rate. For Joy News, Esther Nkrumah's report read to you.
The U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Virginia Palmer, has lauded the Accra Initiative approach to ending violent extremism as one of the best ways of dealing with the root causes of the problem. She believes that African-led solutions to Africa's problem is one of the ways of ending violent extremism. She was speaking on the Visitors' Day of Operation Flintlock 2023, which is a U.S.-led military exercise to train our men on the ground.
After days of training, some military personnel from different countries taking part in a simulated rescue of a kidnapped government official. It was to put to use what they had been practicing for days. The U.S. Special Operations Command Africa conducted Flintlock 2023 from March 1 to 15 in Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. In a digital press conference on the purpose of Flintlock, Commander of the U.S. Special Operations Command Africa, Rear Admiral Jimmy Sanders, said the U.S. is focused on the threat of Al-Qaeda's continued expansion through the Sahel. He said the concern is that Al-Qaeda will continue to grow and expand through the Sahel and threaten coastal West African countries like Ghana. Hence, it is the primary focus area or threat it is trying to address. Rear Admiral Jimmy Sanders said it is also to deal with maritime threats from the Gulf of Guinea, everything from illegal, unregulated fishing to more common threats of piracy.
So it's a two-way exchange. We're here as partners. We listen to what the African nations want to do, and we help them address the multiple security threats that they have. I'm particularly excited about this year being right here with a special operations training group that's maritime. We haven't done that before, which is another unique element of this. So we're looking at preparing to help our African partners address threats to the north from violent extremist organizations, and also to help them address the multiple threats and challenges that we have in the maritime environment.
The U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Virginia Palmer, says these kind of collaborations are important in eliminating terrorism and violent extremist organizations from our world.
We applaud President Akufo-Addo's efforts to expand the Accra Initiative's work. That work, those solutions that are by Africans and for Africans are extremely important. And the Accra Initiative's regional approach is the type of vision that is needed for coastal West Africa and the Sahel. Complex problems in the region require African-led and African-sourced solutions. The U.S. continues to support bilateral and regional capacity-building initiatives to counter the threat of terrorism and violent extremism with partners in civil society, defense, law enforcement, and the judicial systems. Our commitment to security in the region is long-term. But today's exercise is also very timely, as we don't have to look very far to see security threats in this region. We know security concerns cannot be fully addressed through military force, however. If we want lasting solutions tackling root causes of conflict, economic, inter- and intra-communal schisms, weak institutions, and competition over resources, we have to address those threats as well. Improved security conditions create the stability required to attract foreign investment and encourage economic growth. I think that's something very important as Ghana finds itself in an economic crisis. These exercises are ever more important, in fact, because security creates the conditions for economic growth.
Commander Joint Task Force Flintlock 2023, Colonel Richard Mensah, says Ghana must continue with collaborations with the U.S. and other partners to deal with the threat of terrorism.
We cannot throw our hands in the air, saying that because terrorism is happening and we are not achieving much, we should go to sleep. Special operations are not created in emergencies. We must continue to train. Training is everything, and everything is training. We have to get our guys ready to be able to deal with the terrorists. So this exercise helps us to build that partnership, exchange intelligence and ideas and experience to be able to surmount some of these challenges. Thank you.
And you're with us here on The Pulse. We'll be back after this break.